Potential reality. The extrovert assumes that things objectively exist and that subjectively they do not. That indeed is the accepted sense of those terms, and I think the theoretical and experimental basis of science. It requires years of intuitive research to understand that the opposite is the truth, that no thing exists objectively other than as a concept, and that subjectively everything has a potential existence, that is, permanently exists as a potential. When the masters say tirelessly that every single thing neither exists nor does not exist, they mean just that. Its only existence is as potential, which is the integration of object and subject, of negative and positive, by which its interdependent counterpart has been obliterated. The term realization, making real a thing, logically is only applicable to the illusory process of assuming conceptual objects to exist, for they have no other reality. That which ultimately they are, and all that they could ever be, is neither reality nor relative reality, even with the capital R's, but potential with the capital P, if you wish. Potential plenum. The master's constant formula, in a sense their essential teaching, taking any and every dharma and declaring that it neither is nor is not, means precisely and factually that it is neither positive nor negative. Therefore, it is idle to do what we are apt to do, that is, immediately to look for what which it is, since we are begging the question, having just been told that it is not. That which is not positive and not negative is the result of mutual extinction or negation of each Shen-Wui's double negative, by means of which each characteristic is cancelled by its counterpart, as light by shade and shade by light in positive and negative films. Leaving a phenomenal blank, no phenomena whatever, that is perfect objective voidness, unhappily even absurdly called the void. Shen-Hui has stated that to the awakened, voidness no longer is such, which means that voidness no longer appears as an object. But that which viewed objectively is void can never be anything else, can never be, for instance, full or plenum, as has been maintained, but never, I think, by a master. That whose identity is voidness of objects can never not be void of objects without ceasing to be what it is. As long as it is itself an object, it must remain devoid of objects. But when it ceases to be itself an object, ceases to be itself at all, it thereby returns to subject, as which it is pure potential, and as such a potential plenum. That, no doubt, is the sense of Shen-Hui's statement, which has caused some disturbance in the heads of the scholars. Note, may we not generalize from this and declare that same applies to all objects? It is not evident that every object, when it ceases to be itself, that is objective, thereby becomes a void, returns to subject, and re-becomes potentiality, which is all that anything is. Always bearing in mind that potentiality is only a pointing, not anything, for phenomenally it must ever be a total absence, which non-objectively must be total presence, just as what objectively is void, subjectively is a plenum. Potential being. Returning object to subject, called returning function to principle, in some translations of the Chan masters, should be returning it to potentiality, whatever it be. On the other hand, the projection of phenomena, the sensorially perceived universe, or objectivization, may be said to occur via the dualistic mechanism of temporality, that is, by a splitting of potentiality, which is unitary, into subject and object, which then becomes a pseudo-subject perceiving as negative and positive, and an intellectual interpretation of that as the projected image, which is accepted as really existing. Thus, perceiving itself is seen as a dual process in time, and in an informal giving out, taken in as form and then objectively interpreted. The informal giving out, sometimes called pure perception, may perhaps be regarded as bodhi, whereas the taking in, or normal perception, and its intellectual interpretation are psychosomatic and illusory. The identity of form and void in the sutras is an expression of this dual aspect of perception, informal, articulated into form by the mechanism of the skandhas, and interpreted by the cognizing sixth sense. But to understand this objectively has little practical value. It must happen to us. It is happening to us incessantly. It is that by which we are being lived. If instead of letting it live us, we live it, we find we are it. It is all that we are.